The fewer people you chill with, the less fake stuff you deal with. That quote hits different when you're a Sigma. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's clarity without the background noise. Let's be real. If you're a Sigma male, or you think you might be, you've probably asked yourself, why do I not have any real friends? Not in a self-pitying way, but more like an honest observation. You look around and notice that while others seem glued to friend groups, cliques, and constant social plans, you're just not wired like that. This video isn't about stroking your ego or blaming the world. It's about unpacking the real reason behind why Sigma males often walk solo, not because they're broken, but because they're built different. You don't chase approval, you don't force connections, you don't entertain nonsense just to keep someone around. That alone makes you rare and often misunderstood. Most people want friends who nod, agree, and show up for every little emotional crisis. Sigma males, you want truth, depth, space, and self-respect. And the brutal reality? That filter leaves almost no one standing. But here's the twist. You're not friendless, you're free. So if you've ever felt like the odd one out, like people just don't stick around you, it's not a flaw. It's your nature calling you higher. Watch this video till the end, not for validation, but for clarity. You'll walk away not only understanding why your path is different, but why it's necessary. This isn't loneliness, it's alignment. You're about to understand yourself in ways you've never heard out loud. And maybe, just maybe, you'll finally realize there's nothing wrong with having 0 friends when your peace is finally at 100. Number 1, they're not emotionally available on command, let's be honest. Most friendships these days run on emotional autopilot. You're expected to pick up the phone when someone's spiraling, drop what you're doing for every meltdown, and act deeply invested even when it's the same drama for the 10th time. Most people aren't looking for real support, they're looking for an emotional crutch on demand. Now enter the Sigma male. He's not wired like that. He's not the call me anytime guy. He's not going to fake concern to keep the peace. And if he doesn't feel it, he won't force it, not because he's heartless, but because he doesn't believe in lying with his presence. Sigma males value realness over reactions. If they show up emotionally, it's because they mean it, not because social rules told them to. They don't believe in being there just to tick a box or offer cheap comfort that doesn't actually help. If the problem's real and the connection is solid, they'll listen with intent. But if it's just noise, they'd rather say nothing than pretend. This often gets misread as being cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable. But let's be clear, Sigma males are selectively available, not because they're cruel, but because they don't hand out energy like candy. They've learned the hard way that people will drain you if you let them, especially if you never say no. In a world obsessed with 24/7 emotional access, their boundaries feel like rejection. But in reality, those boundaries are protection for both sides. Sigma males would rather offer genuine silence than fake empathy. So if you're a Sigma male, don't beat yourself up for not playing the emotional butler role. Your energy is sacred, your silence is honest, and your refusal to perform emotionally on command, that's not a flaw, it's self-respect. Stay grounded, stay real. The right people won't need you to bleed just to feel seen. Number 2, they see how friendships are just transactions in disguise. Let's strip it down. Most friendships aren't what they look like on the surface. They look like love, support, loyalty. But when you really pay attention, a lot of them are just dressed up deals. You give me attention when I'm bored, I'll validate you when you're insecure. You show up to my party, I'll listen to your drama. It's a trade, a quiet, unspoken transaction. And Sigma males, they see it, they see all of it. They watch how people suddenly get friendly when they need a favor. How some friends only show up when it's convenient. How loyalty has an expiration date, and support often comes with strings. And once they catch on, they can't unsee it. It's not that Sigma males are cynical, they're just observant. They notice patterns. They notice when the friendship feels more like a job than a connection, and they start asking the real questions. Would this person still be around if I stopped giving? That's when things shift. Sigma males pull back, not in anger, but in clarity. Because when you value your peace more than people-pleasing, those transactional friendships start to feel expensive, too expensive. They cost you time, energy, attention, and in return, you get crumbs dressed up as connection. So instead of playing along, Sigma males bow out quietly. No drama, no fights, just gone. Because they'd rather sit alone in truth than surround themselves with people who only show up when it benefits them. And here's the thing, when a Sigma male withdraws, It's not out of bitterness. It's because he knows his worth, and he refuses to barter it away for company. This isn't cold, it's conscious. If you're a Sigma, you already feel it. You've outgrown one-sided exchanges. You crave connection, not contracts. And until that shows up genuinely, you're happy trading silence for peace, every single time. Number 3, they often struggle with trust. Sigma males don't walk around thinking everyone's out to get them. They're not paranoid, they're not bitter, but they do struggle with trust, and for good reason. They've seen too much. They've watched people throw others under the bus for clout, ditch friends when someone more useful came along, and smile while lying straight to someone's face. They've seen secrets used as weapons and loyalty sold out for likes, gossip, or a temporary ego boost, and after a few rounds of that, something in them just clicks. They start to realize that trust isn't something you just give because someone says you can trust me. No, trust to a Sigma male is built like a fortress, brick by brick, tested under pressure and never handed over blindly. This makes most people uncomfortable because in today's world, being open and emotionally available is treated like proof of a healthy person. But Sigma males, they don't buy it. They don't open the gates just because someone's nice, consistent, or says all the right things. And it's not about fear, it's about wisdom. They've learned that charm doesn't equal loyalty, that shared struggles don't always mean someone's safe, that people will choose themselves and their image. The second things get messy. So instead of being burned again, they keep their guard up. They don't rush into closeness. They don't spill their soul by week 2. And they definitely don't fall for the just trust me routine. It's not about being cold. It's about being cautious with what matters. They may seem distant, hard to reach, maybe even too guarded. But if you've ever been stabbed in the back by someone who claimed they cared, you get it. Sigma males don't struggle with trust because they're broken. They struggle because they've seen what people do when they think no one's watching. Number 4, they're overly honest, and that's a problem. Here's the thing about Sigma males that instantly puts them at odds with most people. They're brutally honest, not in a loud, aggressive, look at me being real kind of way. No, their honesty is quiet, direct, and completely unfiltered, and that's exactly what makes people uncomfortable. We live in a world where most conversations are padded with sugar, where people say what's polite, not what's real, and where truth is often edited, watered down, or hidden entirely just to keep things smooth and friendly. But Sigma males, they don't do that. If you ask them a question, they'll give you the truth, even if it stings. If you're being dramatic, they'll call it out. If your excuses don't add up, they won't pretend they do, not to embarrass you, not to be rude, but because they don't believe in lying to protect someone's ego. And let's be honest, most people aren't built for that level of raw. So when a Sigma male tells someone, that's on you, or you keep making the same mistake, or I'm not interested in that conversation, it feels like coldness, like rejection, even if there's no anger behind it. But here's what most people don't get. That kind of honesty is a form of respect. It means the Sigma male sees you as strong enough to hear the truth, not someone who needs to be coddled. Still, it pushes people away, because when someone refuses to play the emotional comfort game, they become harsh, insensitive, or too intense. But the Sigma male knows the risk, and he still chooses truth, because he'd rather stand alone in clarity than be surrounded by people who only want to hear what makes them feel good. That kind of honesty is rare, and yeah, it's also why they have 0 friends. Number 5, they know most people just want an audience, not a friend. Sigma males have a sharp radar for human behavior, and one of the clearest things they've picked up on is this. Most people don't want real connection. They want a stage. When someone says, I just need someone to talk to, what they usually mean is, I need someone to listen to me talk about myself for an hour. And Sigma males, they see right through it. They've sat through those deep conversations that were really just emotional monologues. They've nodded through confessions that felt more like performances than real vulnerability. They've seen people turn a one-sided rant into a bonding session and then vanish when it's time to listen back. Sigma males don't play therapist. They're not emotionally available on command, and they sure aren't interested in being someone's personal audience for attention-drenched drama. If there's no sincerity behind the sharing, if it's just a loud display dressed up as vulnerability, they mentally check out. What they crave is real honesty, something mutual, something grounded. A moment where both people can actually learn something about themselves, not just pretend they're having a heart-to-heart while one person steals the spotlight. And when Sigma males pull away from these emotionally performative people, guess what? They get called cold, distant, uncaring. But that couldn't be further from the truth. They simply don't believe that listening to emotional theater equals friendship. They want raw, mutual connection. The kind where silence is just as comfortable as talking and honesty isn't laced with performance. So if you're someone who values truth over theatrics, who's tired of fake deep conversations and emotional one-man shows, you're not cold, you're clear. And like most Sigma males, you've probably learned the hard way that real friendship doesn't look like a therapy session. It looks like two people being real without needing an audience. Number 6, they observe people the way scientists study insects. Here's where Sigma males really mess with people. They're not connecting the way most folks think. While everyone else is busy chatting, bonding, oversharing, or cracking jokes to build rapport, the Sigma male is sitting there, watching. Not in a creepy way, in a clinical way. He's studying tone, body language, inconsistencies. He's picking up on contradictions between what someone says and what they really mean. He's listening less for the words and more for the intent behind them. And once he spots the patterns, the fake humility, the subtle manipulation, the need for attention disguised as friendliness, he tucks it away like a scientist scribbling in a notebook. To the outside world, it might look like he's just quiet or a little off. But inside, he's dissecting human behavior with eerie precision. And this makes people uncomfortable. They sense it without even knowing why. Something about him feels like a mirror they didn't ask for. They feel seen in a way they can't control. And that scares them. Because they're not being evaluated emotionally, they're being studied. That's the Sigma male's superpower, and also the reason he rarely connects with people easily. Because most people don't want to be understood that deeply, especially if they're hiding something. Small talk bores him. Forced empathy irritates him. Fake bonding makes his skin crawl. He doesn't want to connect. He wants to understand. And once he does, he often walks away knowing more about that person than they'd be comfortable admitting. So if you're a Sigma male and people say you're hard to read or that you make them nervous, don't take it personally. They don't fear you, they fear what you see in them. Number 7, they attract insecurity and repel it instantly. Here's one of the strangest things about Sigma males. They attract the very people who can't handle them. Insecure people are drawn to Sigma males like moths to a flame. At first, it's fascination. Why is he so calm? Why doesn't he try to impress anyone? How can he be so alone and still not lonely? To the insecure, that kind of self-containment is magnetic. It looks like mystery, confidence, even power. But here's where it flips. Once they get closer, they start realizing the Sigma male doesn't need them. He doesn't seek validation, doesn't over-explain himself, and doesn't entertain drama. And to someone whose self-worth depends on attention and reassurance, that's deeply uncomfortable. Suddenly, the Sigma male's quiet confidence feels like arrogance. His silence starts to feel like judgment. His emotional detachment, which comes from clarity, not cruelty, feels like rejection. And what started as admiration turns into projection. The insecure begin to resent him. They want his presence, but also want him to soften, coddle, reassure, and bend. And when he doesn't, they take it personally. But the Sigma male isn't doing anything to them. He's just existing on his own terms. That in itself is enough to trigger people who don't know who they are without outside validation. So what happens next? Distance. The insecure quietly back away or lash out. The Sigma male, true to form, doesn't chase. He lets the projection dissolve on its own. This cycle repeats often. They attract the insecure, then repel them. Not by force, by truth. And if you're a Sigma male, you've probably noticed this pattern. Don't confuse their reaction with your responsibility. Their discomfort isn't your flaw. It's a mirror they weren't ready to face. You weren't cold, you were just too real. Number 8, they don't bond over complaints or gossip. Let's be real. A lot of friendships aren't built on deep respect or genuine connection. They're built on shared negativity. People bond by complaining about their jobs, mocking others, or trading gossip like it's currency. It's cheap, easy, and instantly makes people feel close. But Sigma males, they don't play that game. They don't need to tear someone down to lift themselves up. They don't find joy in dissecting someone's life behind their back. And they're definitely not going to fake laugh just to keep up with the group vibe. To a Sigma male, that kind of interaction feels draining. It's low energy, it's noise, and more importantly, it's fake. See, Sigma males crave depth. They'd rather sit in silence than talk trash just to fill the air. They're the type to go quiet when the group starts gossiping. Not because they're judging everyone out loud, but because internally they've already checked out, and this is where the friction begins. Because when you don't participate in the drama, people assume you think you're better than them. When you don't laugh along, they label you as cold or too serious. And when you refuse to bond over misery, they call you distant. But in reality, the Sigma male just doesn't want to be part of a connection built on someone else's downfall. He wants conversations that mean something, jokes that don't come at someone else's expense, relationships that aren't powered by negativity. And because that's rare, he often ends up on the outside, misunderstood, misread, misjudged. But he's fine with that. Because if fitting in means shrinking his standards, lowering his energy, or pretending to care about gossip, he'll pass. He's not here to bond through bitterness. He's here to protect his peace. Number 9. They don't want to be a therapist or a cheerleader. Let's face it, some friendships slowly turn into emotional babysitting. One person talks, the other listens. One person complains, the other cheers them on. Rinse and repeat. And over time, it stops feeling like a friendship and starts feeling like a full-time job with no paycheck. That's exactly what Sigma males refuse to sign up for. They're not heartless, they're not selfish, but they know the moment a connection starts turning one-sided, they're being turned into someone's unpaid therapist or emotional crutch. And that doesn't sit right with them. See, most people don't want real advice. They want someone to vent to, someone to nod, someone to say, "You're right on loop." And Sigma males, they don't have the patience for that kind of performance. They're wired to solve problems, not babysit them. So if someone comes with the same drama for the 10th time, expecting another pep talk or a shoulder to cry on, the Sigma male checks out. Not because he doesn't care, but because he respects energy, his and yours. He believes if something's bothering you, you either fix it or you stop complaining about it. But living in a loop of emotional dumping, that's not growth. That's codependence in disguise, and that's the kind of dynamic Sigma males walk away from fast. They want friendships that are built on mutual strength, not emotional hand-holding. They want real conversations, not therapy sessions masked as hangouts. So when they start sensing that they're being used as a constant sounding board without getting anything real in return, they don't confront it, they just quietly disappear, not out of spite, out of self-respect. Because if being a good friend means carrying someone else's baggage while they refuse to carry their own, they'll gladly walk alone. Number 10. They don't broadcast their life. In today's world, everyone's practically narrating their life in real time, what they ate, who they're dating, what annoyed them at work, what goal they're manifesting next. Oversharing is the norm, and it's become the currency of connection. But Sigma males, they don't play that game. They guard their privacy like a locked vault. Not out of paranoia, not because they're hiding something, but because they simply don't see the point in broadcasting their every move. They're not trying to impress anyone. They don't need validation from comments, reactions, or fake concern. And that makes people uncomfortable. See, most friendships are built on a steady stream of life updates. People bond over small talk, shared drama, or mutual venting. It's a back and forth of, here's what's going on in my world, now tell me about yours. But when a Sigma male stays quiet, doesn't share, or gives minimal answers, it short-circuits the whole system. Friends start wondering, why won't he open up? Doesn't he trust me? But it's not about trust, it's about values. Sigma males just don't believe that every detail of their life deserves to be put on display. And truth be told, that makes it hard for most people to feel close to them. Because when someone doesn't share their struggles or triumphs, people assume they're distant, cold, or uninterested. But here's the twist. Sigma males do care. They just express it differently. They show up when it matters. They observe everything, and they remember what others say. But they don't feel the need to give equal access in return. They live quietly, intentionally, and on their own terms. So yes, it's hard to connect with them in the usual way. But maybe that's the point. Maybe they're not trying to be understood. They're trying to be free. Number 11, they'd rather be misunderstood than be controlled. Here's something about Sigma males that throws people off. They're totally fine being misunderstood. In fact, they prefer it. Most people are dying to be understood. They overshare, over-explain, and open up too fast just to feel seen. But Sigma males, they're the opposite. They intentionally keep parts of themselves hidden. Not because they're secretive, but because they know a hard truth. Once people fully know you, they can start to control you. When someone knows what makes you tick, your fears, your buttons, your soft spots, they suddenly gain leverage. They might not use it right away, but it's there. Subtle guilt trips, emotional blackmail, silent expectations. Sigma males have seen it all. So now, they keep their cards close. They don't explain why they went quiet. They don't clarify their silence. They don't defend their boundaries. They let others assume. And trust me, people hate that. Most people can't stand being shut out. They take it personally when they are not given full access. So when a Sigma male doesn't open the door, they don't say, he has boundaries. They say, he's arrogant, or he thinks he's better than everyone. But the truth is simple. Sigma males aren't trying to be mysterious or superior. They just don't want their inner world to become public property. They'd rather be labeled distant than give someone the map to manipulate them. So if you're a Sigma male who gets accused of being hard to read, don't flinch. That's just people reacting to not having power over you. Let them misunderstand you, let them wonder. Because staying true to yourself is worth way more than being fully known by the wrong people. Conclusion: why Sigma males have zero friends, the real reason. Let's not sugarcoat it. Sigma males aren't lonely. They're not broken. They're not looking for sympathy. The truth is simple. They operate on a frequency most people don't even know exists. They don't chase shallow connections. They don't force laughs in rooms they don't belong in. And they're not going to sacrifice their peace just to say they have friends. That's not cold. That's clarity. Most people build their social lives like resumes. Collect names, fill silence, avoid solitude. But Sigma males, they'd rather sit alone with their thoughts than be surrounded by noise that says nothing. And yes, that makes them misunderstood. But misunderstood doesn't mean wrong. In fact, it takes serious self-awareness to walk through life knowing you won't be everyone's favorite, and still choosing to stay true to yourself. That's not weakness. That's power most people will never understand. If you're watching this and you are that Sigma, male or female, here's your reminder. You're not antisocial. You're just anti-fake. You're not closed off. You're just selective with your energy. And you're not heartless. You just refuse to hand your heart to people who don't know how to hold it. So don't let the world guilt you into softening what makes you rare. Don't feel pressured to water down your depth just so others can swallow you easier. You're not behind, you're not broken, you're just building a life that actually makes sense to you. Even if no one else gets it yet, stay quiet, stay focused, and most importantly, stay you. That silence the world judges, that's where your power lives. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.